Shireen, I'm an alcoholic.
Shireen?
Yeah, I suggested I let you all know how fearful I am. I'm terrified. I've never been so, and the tears want to come and I haven't even started, I mean, really. I've never been so nervous or terrified in my life. But yeah, I guess let's start. I remember my childhood, like it was yesterday, not really the timeline of things. But I remember feeling not a part of and different from young. I didn't go to nursery school, so going to primary school for me was supposed to be a very exciting time, wanting to meet new people, children, make friends, and that wasn't my experience. From the word go, I was treated differently, and we laugh, but colour of my skin. I was darker than everyone. So, rejection came quick and fast. I don't say I immediately isolated from it all. I think I tried. I really did. And it was with a lot of, being hurt and let down that I eventually realized, maybe I was different. My older brother was always there for me. I remember I would have to go to him and he protected me from day one, really. I don't ever remember a time he would push me away, little sister nagging. And I guess that's where the mask came up immediately of a tomboy. It was easier to, be, not have to put up with trying to be this little girl and be perfect, and I'd rather play in the mud than shoot guns, and that seemed better because I was accepted, easier that way. So that was the start of my first masks, and then but I remember when I was very young, things were very good at home. My dad, which we were later to realize was a full-blown alcoholic, very abusive, blackout drunk. But when we were young, he was ambitious, like some of us are, He built us a beautiful home in the south of Joburg. And things were really, really good. He opened his own business and he done well for a long time, or for what I can remember. I remember things were good at home. My brother and I really were not short of anything. We were two different. I was female, he was male, and he got to do his boy things, I got to do girl things, more boy things, but we were both very well looked after. We were well taken care of. But somewhere along the line, I remember Friday nights we would go to his work and he would entertain clients, and things were good for a while. We would have fun, we would run around, the adults would drink and have fun, and we would go home. But somewhere along the lines, things started to change. We stopped going as often as we would. My mom would come and pick us up, and we would go home. And in the beginning, it wasn't that bad. My mom would call and ask my dad when he would be coming home. And hour give or take, he would eventually be home. But this, seemed to get worse. I'm not quite sure what it was. I think it may be more important he got, or biggest title, or the need for affirmation, or just him being an alcoholic. But things got quickly, they went bad quite quickly. My mom would call, spend most of the night phoning, and her calls would go from pretty calm and like asking to come home to pretty frightening. And I think it's somewhere in the big book or somewhere I read that you could hear an alcoholic by the way they would put their key in the door. I knew how drunk my father was by the way his car came up the driveway on a Friday night. And it was pretty frightening stuff. It was horror, it was screaming, it was shouting. The cops rocked up at our house more than I can tell you. My dad being a very vicious, abusive drunk, and I believe my mom didn't really know what to do with that. They tell you don't try and negotiate to talk with a drunk person, leave them be. But I don't think my mom knew how to do that for the protection of my brother and I for a long time, and that would be the cycle of my upbringing. every Friday night this would go on. My mom, I'm not quite sure she eventually knew what to do, so on a Saturday we'd go and, do shopping for the house. I was in dancing at the time, so she made all my costumes and stuff, so she would pretty much be doing that. And my brother and I would, play outside and probably try and pretend what had happened the night before didn't happen. And then on a Sunday, my brother and I would always ask to leave while my mom would try and sit my dad down and beg him, to please stop. And yeah, this pretty much took up most of my childhood. I don't remember anything else happening on a weekend, but I do remember us not being able to go anywhere and without having my dad to crack that first beer, and that fear, because he just was not capable of ever, handling his alcohol, and he definitely wasn't going to. I think maybe there were times he would have liked to, but because of his arrogance and because of him wanting to be, this big businessman and be the man of the house as things should be, he was never really going to seek help. That would only come later. But yeah, that was basically what I grew up with. But for me, high school, things started to change, I guess. I started making friends, with all the wrong children because, I don't know, attracted to that type. But I think my disease quickly started in an eating disorder, which I only realized now in recovery. In standard 8, I don't know what happened. I just decided to go to the bathroom one day and start purging. And yeah, that was the start of quite a serious eating disorder. I think it was always about not feeling good enough or thin enough or, pretty enough, all of that stuff from being young. And yeah, the lengths that I went through in that is crazy. It got to a stage where I didn't even have to put my finger down my throat. I carried packets around in case, there wasn't a bathroom to go to, crazy stuff. And that already tells me I was an alcoholic because that behavior is not okay. The lengths I went through to hide it, and yeah, the obsession around food and to not eat and the control that gave me and the affirmation, when people started noticing I was losing weight and I was getting the type of attention not all the other, I didn't get compared to the other girls. So that was high school, and that took me well into my matric year. And yeah, I think I do remember drinking. I cannot sit here and tell you when was the first time I picked up a drink and what exactly it done for me, because I remember when I drank it was to get wasted. It was not to enjoy it. It was not to try it out. But it was quite limited because of my fear of what I saw to do to my father. And somehow I knew, I've heard people share they didn't know. I knew I was not capable of that. I knew if I found something, again, to make me feel better, yeah, I was going to go with it because I just never wanted to be me. I would have done anything to escape me and who I was. I left high school and I didn't do well at school at all. I didn't apply myself. I didn't feel the need to. Everything that was going on at home, running away from there, it didn't seem important to study or get to do anything. I wasn't, like I said, I didn't really apply myself anywhere. My mom and them had me in dancing for many years. I didn't really work very hard there either. And after all that they'd done in matric, I decided to walk away from that too, because I just didn't, I was done with that too. That was Shireen, that was her cycle. She would just give up, when she decided to, and never look at what anybody else had been through to get her there or how to help her, because I didn't want help. But by that stage, I believed that all the hurt and pain I'd got in my life was to give me strength, some superhuman strength, which is, And with the more stronger I believed I got, I didn't realize how much I was hurting people. I just believed that I was strong and no one would ever get me down. I got into my first relationship with a guy that was into the rave scene, and that's when the substances came along. And wow, that was it. I had arrived. I took the substance at the time. Was not to be my choice, but it definitely put me on that path. And again, that was it. I knew I was feeling better, and of course the weight started to come off with that again. So everything that I couldn't, or that I wanted to be, I believed was in the substance. Also, there was a very a toxic relationship. I wasn't very good in relationships. I realize that now. And when I was done, or when I felt whatever it was supposed to do for me was over, I just walked away, walked away from that. I was fortunate that I did get a very good job. I don't know how, because for most part of my life I felt like a fraud, because I didn't really, like I said, apply myself to anything, but I got a very good job in the music industry. But what better place to enable an alcoholic where there's alcohol for free on a daily basis? What better place for you to hide your disease than in a music industry where everybody drinks and everybody falls down? But yeah, deep down I knew I was different. I wasn't handling, and I didn't want to. When I drank, I drank. I drank to get drunk. I drank to get wasted. And I'm not proud of that, but that's just how it was, because it was to escape everything, me, run away from me. In that time I met my husband-to-be, and we probably were doomed from the word go, because both very alcoholic in our behavior. We believed alcohol would make us happy. We would make up to alcohol, break up to alcohol, and knowing alcohol was the problem. And I know now alcohol's not the problem. That's not what I'm saying. It's my behavior. But we never excluded alcohol from any equation to try and fix things. So it was pretty doomed from the word go. In all of this, my parents eventually got divorced. My mom stuck it out until I left high school. I'm not quite sure why she did that. I guess it's a love of a mom. She put herself through hell and back, but yeah. So they pretty much got divorced, and my dad had lost everything at this stage, and I became his keeper. I wanted to do anything and everything. There wasn't anything I probably wouldn't have wanted to do to help him, beg him to stop. I would have to go fetch him out of bars. When he was making trouble or getting beaten up, they would phone me, because I was the only one that could, for lack of a better word, control him or get him to calm down. But I did. I enabled him a lot. I gave him money. And I remembered in my year that I actually took him to a few meetings, but you see, I stood outside because that wasn't for me. So yeah, I think we tried everything, but he'd lost everything by this stage, and like a lot of good alcoholics, sometimes that's just even more fuel. I've got nothing, so what's the point? I got married very late. Again, I was fear of commitment, didn't believe anyone could really love me that much to get married to me, and I know this is victim and self-pity, but this is how it was. I didn't trust enough, and the fear of my parents' marriage, I wasn't prepared. I didn't want to go into that, but I did. So I got married quite late. And I thought that would make things better. My ex was to be a very jealous, domineering man, which made things quite difficult, especially for the job that I was in. But I also played on that. I'm not going to sit here and act like an innocent victim. It suited me to have him pay the attention of, when things were hard, I would pack up my stuff and run. I'd go rock up on my mom's doorstep and, tell her it's over, waiting for that week to pass and for him to phone and beg me to come home. I did. I fixed off that stuff, it gave me the affirmation I'd wanted my whole life, So then things again were always bad. They didn't really seem to get better. So I decided to have my first child. Again, never thinking I could be a mom, but I did, and I can sit here and proudly say I didn't drink or use for 9 months, because I think I've shared, because there had to be something greater in me, and I think a baby growing in you was pretty good enough reason at the time. But the minute my firstborn Tyler was born, the drinking and the using started. I forget. I also, about this time, went on to prescription meds, because I needed more. I needed more to feel better if the alcohol wasn't working. At some stage I did stop using. I can't tell you when, but I went on to meds, and I just want to share, the alcoholic that I am, I think an antidepressant, most of you, if you've been on one, you know you take the first off for 7 days and then one thereafter. Well, I think I took 3 on the first day for good measure to feel better straight away. That's the type of alcoholic I am. You know, I want to feel better now, not tomorrow or 7 days or now. Yeah, so that sets off a whole new cycle of medication. Sleeping tablets, yeah, because I believed I couldn't sleep. I believed I really had a problem not sleeping. And most of the time I took sleeping tablets again to escape, you know, when things were tough, things were hard, let's go sleep, you know, sleep it off and wake up and start the mess all over again. I left that job because I had my daughter and I couldn't see myself in a very alcoholic music environment, and I was getting a lot of you know, pressure from my husband at the time to leave the entertainment industry, so I left. And yeah, close to my 30th birthday, the biggest loss of my life would happen. My father passed away very unexpectedly from a heart attack. And I'm very grateful for that today, because the fate I anticipated for him my whole life turned out to be him dying, yes lonely, yes with nothing, but with pride in his bed from a heart attack. Not murdered, dead in the street or in a car accident or have killed somebody, which I was waiting for, you know. But that was just enough to get me going again. Being on his birthday too, wow, that was even more for someone like me to like really push the envelope more on me, victim, me, you know, all of this stuff, and now you take him away. And in all honesty, for 2 years after his death, I don't remember a thing. I know I didn't care that I had a husband. I know I didn't care that I had a 2-year-old little girl. I know I was drinking, and I know I was taking a lot of medication. But for 2 years, and I try to remember this 2 years in treatment when I did my life story, and I can't, and it's gone. And I've made peace with it, but it's gone. Somehow I picked it up again in my life. My mom, who's always been there, got me a very good stable job at quite a big company, and yeah, I picked it up again. I went into another career and I've done very, very well. My marriage was still very up and down, and I thought having a second child would maybe help. You know, maybe it would settle me, maybe it will bring some sort of peace in my life. And then my second very special born was born too, Kaylee. And then, yeah, I wasn't well after that, only to find out I had quite severe endometriosis, which then would have been ovarian cancer. I had to have a hysterectomy, which was also just another thing, you know, poor Shireen. Wow, just more and more and more. In this job, I was using a lot of meds, plenty. I don't remember drinking that much, or I'd learned by then not to drink in front of people, I think. Yeah, I realized that I couldn't. So I kept that for myself. But a lot of medication, because my thinking, which I've come to realize is just no, is that I think I'm a little bit more compos mentis on medication, which I'm not, but that's what I thought. Alcohol, I couldn't hide because of me being an exact replica of my father, an aggressive blackout drunk. So I stayed away from drinking in front of people, and yeah, I used meds, and I wasn't on any substance at that stage. But I had what you call a freak accident. I was at home quite sick, and what Shireen does in good Shireen style, I took sleeping tablets because I wanted to sleep it off. And I went outside for a cigarette and I lost my balance and I fell through a glass window. I almost lost my arm that day. I woke up in the hospital. It took them 3 hours to put my arm back together, but that wasn't enough. That was just, you know, an accident. What came from that was what's probably left of this part of the story is it just went from worse to worse. I had to leave my very good job because my arm, it was going to take quite some time to get my arm going. They actually didn't think I would get much feeling or movement back in my arm. and my husband thought it would be a good idea for me to become a stay-at-home mom. Me agreeing, realizing I have a people-pleasing defect, decided this would probably be a good idea, was not to know what was to come from this. Decided to stay at home and get my arm and become a mom, and well, no. I think that it was the start of the biggest nightmare for my family. I couldn't lose weight at this stage again, so the disease came for me there again. Two children, no job, no confidence again, no self-worth, drinking and just doing nothing with my life. Made me remember what substances in forms of drugs did for me when I was 19. Again, thinking I was more in control, because again, alcohol, I can't, I just drink to get wasted and I embarrass people. And washing down medication, no amount of medication was working either. So, and I decided to ask a friend to go and find me something, which he did. And that's where I found my choice of drugs. That was to become my choice for a good part of 5 to 6 years. And what I believed in that is it would help me lose weight, it would hide everything from everybody and no one would ever know, and it would give me the confidence, it would give me everything that Shireen just never had or thought she had. Near the end of it all, I lost my family because of it. I lost my marriage because I just wasn't prepared to give it up, because it was better than anything. It gave me what I wanted. It gave me weight loss, it gave me confidence, it just made me feel better than me, something I could never do. So I ended up getting divorced, which I hate to sit here and say was probably a very good thing, and we probably stayed married a lot longer than what we should have. But that's inevitably what happened. But you don't realize that 2 little girls are in the equation at the time, and you don't really care. It's about you and your hurt and your pain and your anger. It's about what that person has done to you, and never actually realizing what you've done to that person. I know today I put my ex-husband through hell. I know I hurt him. In treatment, we picked up on the fact that I have a huge self-reliant defect. Me thinking I'm strong, I don't need your help, not allowing others to help me or love me, hurt a lot of people. Hurt a lot of people. I pushed a lot of people away. And I hurt people by doing that. So, I ended up getting divorced. Somehow my ex-husband, was involved in his own stuff and gave me full custody of my 2 little girls. And wow, did I take that to a whole new level. I never kept them from him, but trust me when I tell you I was going to protect them with everything, except when I was passed out and not concentrating, which was most of the time. I believed I was there. I believed I was a great mom just because I made every sports day and every concert and every parents' evening, but I was a drunk mom, and whether that's on alcohol or substance or prescription meds, I was a drunk mom for their entire lives. And my daughters have turned 12 and 9 this year. This set off a whole new cycle for me. Was on prescription meds, was drinking, and I was using huge amounts, drinking as much as I could and taking as many tablets as I could. Somehow, I don't know, I'm even sitting here some days because there must be a God in my life, because I'd wake up some mornings and I would probably have taken a whole month's supply of medication in one night, because I would hit a blackout, and I don't even know how sometimes I'm sitting here, but that's God. Typical good alcoholic. I only reached out to God when I was in trouble. I only told people what I wanted them to hear. My family, my mom had moved to the coast with my stepfather for many years already, so my mom didn't really know what was going on. I think if she did, she would have taken my children away from me for a very long time ago. But yeah, I got into what you would call an extremely toxic and dangerous relationship back in Joburg. I put my life, my girl's life at risk. Again, it was all about Shireen. It was what Shireen needed. It was Shireen proving to herself again that she was strong, that she could take on anyone and anything, and I was wrong. I was very, very wrong. But you know, they say you have moments of sanity in alcoholism. I think I got to a point where I knew I was in big, big trouble. And I phoned my mom at one stage and I said to her, please, I need to come. I'm in trouble and I need your help. Understanding now my mom's reluctancy to have me around, because all I did was cause destruction, because I was very selfish. I didn't believe that when I first came into the rooms. But I was. I would walk through the door extremely arrogant and entitled and believing you my mom and you will take care of me. Never connecting to the guilt that she felt, believing that it was her fault I was who I was, and it's got nothing to do with her. It's this disease I have. But anyway, I used on that, I worked on that, I manipulated, you know, that was my story. Anyway, I knew I was in very big trouble when a lady that lived in the complex came and told me that I need to be aware that they know I'm doing illegal substances on the premises and that the welfare are coming for my children. So I done what I would think any mom would do. I phoned my ex-husband and I told him he would come and fetch him immediately. I packed up all their stuff and I sent them to him. My thinking was that I'll get them away and I'll face whatever comes. But again, selfishly, they came home from school and I never explained anything. I never told them why I was sending them away. Yes, things were horrible. It was a nightmare at home, screaming, fighting, tantrums. It was horrible for them. But still, they're children, they didn't understand what I was doing, and I thought they just must know I'm doing what's best for them. And how do two little girls know what's actually best for them when you're their mom? But I sent them away. Again, I didn't tell my mom the exact truth. But again, my thinking was, if I can only just get them to her, and then I'll leave, which is also just selfish, but if I can just get them to her, tell her what's going on, then they will be safe, and then I can go and I can do whatever Shireen needs to do, because, you know, Shireen just has had enough. Shireen's tired, and Shireen's been a single mom for years, and yeah, I'm just, everything's always my fault, and it was always my fault. So eventually my mom said I could come. I didn't see my children or speak to them for 4 or 5 weeks. The first time I got to see them was the night before we climbed on a plane to come to Durban. And only when I left treatment did I realize that I arrived there with absolutely nothing, 2 little girls and 2 suitcases. I had thrown everything away, everything. But still, being very sick, I didn't see that. I believed I'd arrived with everything. I'd arrived with arrogance and entitlement, and I was going to come and make a fresh start, and I was going to, pick it up, and I was going to, make a new life. But what I've come to learn is where I go. Where Shireen goes. And that would be another 9 months of making my family's life a misery. I found my choice of drug in Durban. And not only that, the alcohol came back pretty quick and pretty fast, because if I couldn't get my choice, I would go and drink. And it's got to tell you something, that when you're 39 years old and your mom's locking your medication in a safe, what type of alcoholic you are, and makes you think that that's okay, that that's normal, that your own medication needs to be locked away in a safe. But anyway, it was 9 months that I put my family through hell. And there's a very special lady sitting in the room today who reached out to me at the end and asked me to go see her. And when she sat me down and said, Shireen, what is the problem? You have everything, there's nothing your family won't do for you. What is the problem? I looked at her and I said, I'm lonely. I've been alone my whole life, and much to my choice, I guess. Because I pushed anybody that cared or loved me away. It was easier that way. Well, that's what I thought. And she suggested going to meetings. And that's it. That's where it started. I went to first. I couldn't find anybody, so I thought this stuff doesn't exist. And then I did land up at meetings, and wow, I came flying into the rooms, feeling nobody could see. But yes, to learn, everybody could see. But something that I love sharing on the most, the very first meeting I made where everybody was at Scottsboro, and I got home to my mom so excited, and I told her they actually come in buses. 5 weeks later, I was coming in a bus with all of them, but anyway. So it was still to take some time before I went in, but my first sponsor walked up to me in a meeting and she didn't want to hear anything that I had to say. Every time I opened my mouth, she was like, you have to go in for treatment. And I was like, yeah, but I got stuff to do. I had jack shit to do, but I had stuff to do. I had to be a mom. No, you've been enough of a mom. So eventually, I think our God, brought me to my knees in the most unexpected way. I think when I woke up in a high care hospital bed, not having a recollection of what I'd done, and OD on my file amongst people that were really dying, I think that's when some sort of sanity kicked in again, and that was my rock bottom. I didn't know what had happened, and I was later to find out what happened, but still, I could have got away with it again, but it was my rock bottom. I made a vow there and then that I would go into this place that I'd heard of, where you go for 3 months on a farm and you do whatever you do. I'm going to go there. I went home, and again, I was going to go, but I wasn't going to go. And then one day, the day before I went in, actually, I decided I was going to phone and see, because I'd been into rehab twice. And, you got to wait for a bed and how long it's going to take. And my thinking was, well, depending on how quick I can go in, then I'll decide. Not only could I go in straight away, they'll even have a driver come and pick you up. And I should have maybe thought, that's weird, a rehab take you and fetch you. And anyway, I took the option of having a driver collect me because I was tired of my family cleaning up after my shit. I was tired of them dragging me in and out of, because, in my last year, in my 9 months, I landed up in a psych ward 7 times in Durban to have my meds checked. It had nothing to do with that, but yes. So I was tired of my family driving me to hospitals, booking me in, and just trying to save Shireen. Shireen needed to go do what Shireen needed to go do. I believed if I sat here a year sober, I went in with the gift of what one of our very popular counsellors speaks of as desperation. And I believe today I was pretty desperate. I was broken, I was tired, and whatever they were doing up there, I was going to go and do and find out. If I'd maybe known, maybe wouldn't have gone, but I wasn't to know. So I went in and I was willing. And before I left, I spoke to my mom, and my mom said, no, go for 28 days and see how it goes. And I said to her, no. I'm going to go for however long it takes, because I can't do this to you anymore. I said to my mom, I'm not going to say sorry, and I'm not going to make you any promises because I've done that too much. It means nothing. It doesn't even mean anything to me. So I went up there and I didn't allow myself any sort of an option. When I saw people RHTing, I was like, what are these people doing? You can just, because I went to previous treatment where there's a gate, you couldn't even buy cigarettes in the one because it was a banned substance. Yeah, you could just walk out the gate if you pleased. But I was not going to walk out, no gates. I was not going to leave until I knew, or whatever the solution was, because I didn't know. I was tired of my ideas. I was tired of me, just me. Something I love sharing on as well is when I first saw my children. Look, this is not something I'm very, it's hard to admit, but when I saw my 2 girls come visit me for the first time, I remember going to see my counsellor and telling her I realised today how much I love them. And how, as a mom, do you only realise how much you love a child when they're already 12 and 8 years old? But I did, and I think that was when I started to wake up. After their first visit, my eldest phoned me in tears, and she wanted to know from me, what is the place that's making me mop the floors and wash the dishes How's that going to make me get better? And I remember saying to her, I don't know. But I asked her for one more chance to try, because it must be something. I said to her that I have to believe that they do something up here, and just to give me one more chance. I know I'd let them down so many times, but I needed them to give me just another chance. Anyway, I stayed for 3 months. I got concerned. You all know concern group, which you love. Into 2.5 months, because my anger defect was coming through quite a lot, and I think it's because I was nervous of going home. My family ran a B&B and there was a lot of alcohol, and I didn't want to change their lifestyle at all. It's just I didn't want to go back and be me, I had too many times believed I had got this, too many times believed I knew what I was doing, and so easily this disease crept up on me every single time that I was very scared that it would just come for me. I got concerned the 4th month, which I was very angry about, very angry. But I'm very grateful for that 4th month, because they let me go home every weekend to see my children. And I sit here believing that if I wasn't allowed to go home and kind of sort out the mess, because when you leave treatment, the mess is still there. You don't go back into your environment and your family loves you and you're all shining, and you've woken up to what you've done. So, the trust is gone, the hurt is still there. I couldn't have gone for 3 months and taken away all the hurt and pain I'd brought on my family in that time. But what I could do is just go back and try and do it differently. So I believe my 4th month was a blessing. Yes, it was very difficult to leave every Sunday to go back up to the house. But in good Shireen style, I'd play my music really, really loud, curse all the way, and in I would go. But once I was there, I was home, I was with my fellows, and I would push through. So I did 4 months there, and the day I was allowed to come home, I drove down with the house extremely proud to my last meeting with them. And yeah, I set off into my first year recovery. I got a job. Whew. Not the job that I wanted, but I've come to realize you don't get what you want, you get what you need. I work with over 500 children every week, doing fitness and exercise, something Shireen, oh no, please don't, but it's what I do. It started off pretty easy. I was an assistant, just carrying stuff in and carrying stuff out, sitting in the back, not really worrying. And now my experience this year has taught me things can change quite quickly for you, the gifts. And funny enough, my first sponsor, who was my boss, was leaving. She needed to go and carry on with the rest of her journey, and I ended up taking over from her as a head instructor. And I think that's where things started getting very real for me. Responsibility started getting really big. But I get up every day, and I don't get up grateful every day, and I don't get up in the mood for these kids every day. Trust me, I'm an alcoholic. I'm very selfish. I just don't feel like smiling at any of them. But there's hardly ever a day where I don't go home and I'm in an okay mood, except for the stress of, the workload, because it's quite stressful. But I think I'm a lot more capable of doing today what I could not do a year ago. I could not commit to anything. I could not be there for my family. I could not be there for my children. And it's just because I didn't want to be. I didn't want to be. Why should I do anything for you when you do nothing for me? That was pretty much my attitude. And that's changed because I got to do what I got to do every day to stay sober. And that's, for me, it's whatever it takes. So I get up every day and I show up every day. I try and be a better mom, and I still got lots of defects, but I try and be a better daughter. When I tell my mom I'm going to be somewhere, I'm there. The best part about when my mom phones me, I am where I am, where I say I'm going to be. I don't have to hide anymore. And yeah, I've got friends. I'm not that lonely person. I had a friend sat me down and asked me over a year and a half ago, what was the problem? I'm not alone anymore. I feel like I belong. I feel like I'm part of something, and for someone like me to sit here and not have used anything wound or mind altering for a year is actually quite something, because that's all I ever knew, and that's all. I was one of those who believed I'd go until the bitter end, you know, like my dad. But I'm grateful that I'm not, and I'm grateful that I get to sit here and share today, even though huge fear. And I'm grateful for my family, my mom. She never gave up on me, and I know of her too in ways that I can never get back. And all she's ever asked for me in this year is just to stay sober, that's all. And I will try and do this every day to the best of my ability. I don't get it right. I get it horribly wrong. In fact, when I first met my new sponsor and I said to her, I just want to get this right, and she said to me, you're never going to get this right. I thought, who the hell are you? You're a horrible person. I'm working so hard. I didn't like her at all. But I'm very grateful I don't get to get this right. I'm grateful I get to make mistakes. I'm grateful I get to admit I'm wrong. And out of all of it, I'm grateful that I have awareness. I have awareness. I make so many mistakes, defects. I still have a temper. I'm still pretty nasty, very selfish, but I have awareness and I can try and make it better. And that's where I'm going to stop.